Hey everyone, welcome to the show. So I've been asked to give a breakdown by one of my wonderful subscribers, viewers, of this whole clown show going on in the House of Representatives. I thought maybe you guys had had enough of this from mainstream media, but I've been asked to give my take and explain it all in layman's terms. So here goes. Republican Kevin McCarthy wants to be the majority leader for the Republican Party in the House. In order, this was what Nancy Pelosi was doing. This was her job. She was the Speaker of the House. He wants to be the Speaker. But in order for someone to become the Speaker, be elected the Speaker, they have to have 218 votes. They can't win with a simple majority. The problem for McCarthy is that there's a faction within the Republican Congress who loathe him. And as of now, there are 21 votes. As of the recording of this video, there are 21 votes against him on the Republican side of the aisle, and he can only afford to lose 4 votes from the GOP. And that, again, is because his party holds such a slim majority after that red sprinkle in the midterms. So of those 21, there are about 5 to 6 hardliners who say, I don't care what he does, what he gives me, I will never, ever vote for Kevin McCarthy. So, and that's because they don't trust him. They believe that he's corporate owned. They say he's not sufficiently MAGA. There's different reasons. That's one of the problems is they all have different things that they want in a speaker that they're not getting. There's no consensus. And they're not wrong about the corporate owned part, right? But they don't have a legitimate alternative to McCarthy. Their bench is so shallow that there's no other viable options. So, for example, gigantic cranium Matt Gaetz put forth the idea of Jim Jordan for the Speaker of the House. The problem with that is not only does he not want the job, but outside of the Q-Loon conspiracy caucus on the right, no one's going to vote for Jordan. He doesn't have enough votes. And McCarthy was hoping that Democrats would help bail him out. He was hoping that they either just wouldn't show up for this whole clown show or they'll show up, but they'll vote present, which what that does is that lowers the vote threshold that he needs to secure the speakership. Instead of 218, it lowers it down. As you can imagine, after 6 years of watching him prostrate himself for Trump and, the election denying nut jobs in the party, Democrats are in no mood to help McCarthy. They don't trust him either. So we're now on day 3 of this debacle. There have been more than a half dozen votes as of the recording of this video, and McCarthy has actually managed to lose votes as this drags on.
The suspense is terrible. He's going to go this time. I hope it'll last.
And there's a lot of horse trading going on behind the scenes. For instance, McCarthy caved. He agreed to a demand from the anti-Kevin faction. They wanted McCarthy to revive an old rule. It was something that Nancy Pelosi actually did away with, which I actually like. It's a rule that states that Congress members can force a vote to remove the Speaker of the House if they choose, if they have, no confidence in them, they make a mistake or they don't like the job that they're doing. So McCarthy agreed, okay, I will reinstate that rule and 5 members can join together. They can sponsor a resolution to force a vote of the entire body to potentially oust the Speaker of the House, and then they would put in a new one. Well, now he's reduced that number that's needed. He's so desperate for this position that now he's agreeing to say, okay, if you elect me as Speaker of the House, only one person would be necessary to call for a vote by the entire body to potentially remove the Speaker. He's also agreed to seat more of these far-right House Freedom Caucus members on the House Rules Committee. That's a very important committee because they decide if legislation should be moved to the floor for a vote. So now Democrats have signaled, yeah, we might be inclined to vote for an alternative Republican, but it's in their best interest to also hold out for some goodies because, they have zero incentive to bail out the Republican Party at all. But if they can get some concessions, if they can get some committee assignments or, if they can get them to agree to a co-chair on certain committees instead of the Republicans being just outright in charge, stuff like that, then it might be worth it. So this is a huge problem for the Republicans, as you can imagine, because it shows if you give them power, they're just, they're still a circus with too many clowns and not enough ringleaders. And it's a problem for the country because we literally don't have a functioning House of Representatives right now. No one has been sworn in yet. You cannot swear anybody in until you have the leadership in place. No business can be done for the American people until that happens. So one thing that's coming up hard and fast, that's what she said, is the looming national debt issue. So prior to Christmas, Congress put a Band-Aid on it. They kicked the can down the road as they usually do. So this is coming up where they're going to have to be fully operational in order to take a vote on whether or not to increase the debt ceiling to cover our outstanding debt to other countries, or to allow the government to shut down entirely, which we went through that a few years back. I forget what year it was, after the Republicans took over and Trump was in office. And it was a nightmare. People were losing their income. Things just shut down. And some of these anti-McCarthy Freedom Caucus members are saying that they refuse to vote for him unless he agrees up front to shut the government down. Unless he says, yeah, I'm not going to increase the debt ceiling, let's just shut it all down. So that's what some of them want. So this has really exposed the Republican Party as nihilists and anti-government nuts. We knew it, but at least their parties may be seeing it now, their constituents. And it revealed one other big thing. It revealed Donald Trump as being pretty irrelevant because he's been backing McCarthy for Speaker. And he issued a statement on his social media site. And he said, these holdouts need to get behind McCarthy. They need to support him. And they're flat out ignoring him and defying him. Colorado Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, by the way, called him out on the House floor. She said, quote, "Let's stop with the campaign smears and the tactics to get people to turn against us. Even having my favorite president call us and tell us to knock this off. I think it actually needs to be reversed. And the president needs to tell Kevin McCarthy, you do not have the votes and it's time to withdraw." And here's the thing. McCarthy probably could have pulled this off if he hadn't flip-flopped, maybe. It's very possible. If he hadn't flip-flopped after January 6th, if he had stuck with his conscience, if he had done the right thing, he probably would have maintained a level of respect from the Democrats. And he may have possibly pulled enough centrist GOP votes in to drag him across the finish line. The Democrats plus those centrists, those Republicans who are in Biden-won districts. Instead, as we all know, he abandoned his principles. He flew down to Mar-a-Lago and he sucked up to Trump again. First he blamed him for the Capitol attack, and then he did a complete 180. People may not like you all the time when you tell the truth and you do the right thing, but most of the time they'll at least respect you for it. And what's really humiliating for McCarthy, besides this dragging on now for 3 days and, 7 votes that he's now lost, is the fact that he already moved his belongings into the speaker's suite. So it's going to be so embarrassing if he has to then pack it all up and move back to his little congressional office. I have this picture in my mind of Kevin with his little hobo bag, hanging off of his shoulder on a stick. His shoulders slumped forward and he's slogging back to his office. So yeah, I would love to see that. Anyway, guys, I'm enjoying this. Like I said, it's not good for the country, though. They really need to get it together, but it just shows you this is what happens when you give Republicans the gavel and you give them control. So anyway, thank you so much for watching and listening. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please donate if you possibly can, or become a monthly supporter on Supercast. Love you guys. Really hope you have a great new year. Take care, and I'll talk with you soon.